Hello.
Yeah. About the other two artisans, can you get a little bit give a little bit more detail about them?
Yeah. So the other two artisans are the mystic and the jeweler. So the mystic mostly focuses on crafting more magic items, wands, staves, and some pieces of armor that tend to be like bracers and things like that we tend to focus as the lighter elements of armor. The mystic can also enchant items, which is basically a really great way to customize your item. So you can essentially add one affix to the item that is whatever affix that you specifically want. So if you're really focusing on making a very strong crit build, you can add a plus chance to crit or plus crit damage through, and there's tons and tons of different enhancements that you get, enchantments that you can get. And those are found basically in the same way that recipes for items are found. You can find them in the world, and also as your artisan levels up, they acquire new ones along the way. So, but the best recipes are always found out in the world. So the mystic can also identify items, which is fairly similar to what Kane did for us in Diablo 2. And then the jeweler is pretty much all about jewelry, amulets, rings, and gems. The jeweler can pull gems out of items that you've already socketed, so you can recover your gems and your items. So one of the things we really wanted to make sure, we really liked the gem combining game from Diablo 2, where you take 3 gems and combine them into higher quality and you'd collect them. It feeds into kind of the collecting aspect of the game. But we didn't like that, essentially, it made you not want to use your gems. Like, you didn't want to put a gem in anything because you didn't want to lose it ever until it was the highest possible quality. So what we did was give the ability to the jeweler to pull gems back out, so that, and then the jeweler can also combine gems as the Herodic Cube used to do. And so one of the cool things about the way gems work as well is, just like Diablo 2, there's 5 levels of gems that drop in the world, but there's actually 14 qualities of gems. So you can get up to level 5 through the world, but to get level 6, 7, 8, all the way up to 14, you have to combine lower gems together. So 3 5s make a 6, 3 6 make a 7, 3 7s make an 8. Probably matter how many gems you need to get to 14. It's a ridiculous number, but it's pretty cool. Like, there's, an uber level 14 gem somewhere waiting for you down the road.
Hello? Can you go into a little bit more detail as to how the leveling system of the artisans works? Will they be only able to add to like an armor level 40 if they are a certain level, or do they need materials of a certain level? How does that work?
As you play through the game, the recipes become higher level, the materials become higher level, and artisans need to be a minimum level to work with higher end materials and higher end recipes. So as you go through the world, acquiring materials, most of the time the materials you need to upgrade them are the same kinds of materials you use for crafting, but as you progress through the game, the materials they need for upgrading become more and more rare. So it becomes harder and harder to get those exact materials. And once they're fully upgraded, you can actually specialize them so that they're even better at a specific item type that you like. Like if you really like axes, then you could send your blacksmith down the axe mastery path. But yeah, it pretty much controls the quality of the item that they can produce.
To get higher quality materials, do you have to sacrifice higher quality gear, or?
You have to sacrifice higher level gear, not necessarily higher quality. Certain higher quality gear has a higher chance of dropping better stuff, but as I mentioned in the presentation, it's our goal to make sure that there's not a big, like we don't want people looking at their bag and going, oh, should I salvage, should I sell, should I wear? It should always be fairly, if it's good to wear, you're going to wear it. If you want to salvage it, you're probably going to choose to salvage over sell most of the time. And if you need money, then you'll sell. So right now it's a fairly clear choice. Like we don't see people having a lot of conflict, which is good.
Okay. And just one more. Did you ever, now that some time has passed, do you still get feedback from the art style? Considering that it was that big fan outcry of the art style at first, do you feel that this has died down and that they have come to accept it, or?
I think the people who don't like the art style, I don't know if they'll ever like it, but we get far more positive feedback. I mean, vastly more positive than negative. And one of the things that we kind of did as an exercise to help us get through that rough period was we'd go up onto forums and where people were talking about Diablo, and you know, the internet is not really a big area of positive energy usually. Usually, you know, people are a little negative, let's say. But every time we went and looked at an article where people were talking about the art style, and we looked at all the forum responses, 90% of the responses said they liked the art style and they preferred it. So the fact that people were actually going out of their way to say something positive, for us, that told us that we were going in the right direction.
So some of you might ask, what about assets for that Artisan feature? We will give out those cards with FTP information on the back when you exit the room, at least one for publication, as we have a lot of people here. Thank you.
Diablo is known for being a loot board game. Like you were saying, it's hard to let go of certain things. How much is salvaging going to become an aspect of the game? Is that something you're going to be doing continually? And is that the Heraldic cube that we were looking at?
Yeah, the cube for salvaging, yeah, we intentionally made it cube. Actually, I don't think it's cube-like enough. We'll probably redo the art. But yeah, we intentionally wanted to make it an item that felt like it had a relationship with the Heraldic cube. It's not the Heraldic cube, but it will be a similar type of item. It's pretty prevalent. You do it all the time. The biggest thing is that as you're going through the world, one of the things that we all know is if it hits the ground, you pick it up. So you run into conflicts a lot of the time where, most of the time you just jump back to town and sell items, but we really feel that breaks the flow. So one of the things we really like about salvaging is that a lot of the low-end items that you pick up, that you don't really want to go back to town for them because it's not enough gold, but you will. You just salvage them, and when you salvage them, it breaks them down into small materials. The materials stack really high in your bag, so it really helps you clear up space. And helps you stay out in the world a lot longer. So it happens fairly often. You usually are breaking down like crappy items that you don't want at all, that don't even sell for that much. So that tends to be the focus.
Hi Jay, since you cannot tell us when is the release date, can you tell us how much has been done for that E3?
Nope. Because that's just another way to try and figure out when the release date is. It'll be done when it's done.
It's not exactly, since are all characters fully concepted, or are they fully developed? No. So
it's really hard to describe. One, we usually don't speak in percentages because it does imply release dates, and we don't ever do that. But it's also very difficult for a Blizzard game to speak in those terms because we don't finish things until we really think they're finished. So we could say, we've concepted all the characters. Well, that's only until we play an area and realize that, it needs 3 new characters because the area doesn't play right. Then we make 3 new characters for it. So we move through this process of constant iteration, and that's how our games, that's one of the reasons that we make good games, is we feel that this is an integral part of the process. But it's very difficult to describe to people how that process works. Most games go through a pre-production period, and a production period, and then a polish period. We don't. We do that all at once in little microcosms over and over again. So we're always polishing our game, and we're always working. So it's really hard to answer the question. Sorry.
There's another one.
Hi. In Diablo 2, you had Charzy and the barbarian guy working a little like artisans, but only once per difficulty. And you could never use both in the same item, so you could either socket a normal item or enchant one. Can you combine those abilities now?
Yeah, you can add sockets, add gems, do enchantments. Basically, you can do all of it to